Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today in this video we are going to see about promise in JavaScript. So this is a very interesting topic in JavaScript which we are going to explore it today. So if you are new here, please consider subscribing so you won't miss any future content. Now let's start the video. Yes. So before going to the code, let's understand what is promise is. Okay, promise is nothing but our in real life we'll have a promise, and what we can do is sometimes it will not fulfill or sometimes it will fulfill. Okay, so it means yes or no. Okay, or I can say resolve or reject. Okay, so the same concept we have in the JavaScript. It will do two things: either it will succeed or it will fail. Okay, or here we can see either it will resolve it or it will going to reject it. Okay, so user will ask a promise or have a promise which will going to return us one output. Okay, either it can be resolve or it can be reject. Okay, based on the operations it's doing, and that result will going to be come as output. Okay, so in promise, like in JavaScript, how exactly we can test is it whether it is a resolve or reject is using the dot then block uh, dot then block we are going to use in order to see if it is a resolve or not, and we are going to see dot catch block. Okay, in order to see if it is rejected or not. So we're going to talk about the syntax of the promise, but this is how exactly the promise will going to work. Okay, either it will resolve or it will going to reject the operation. Okay, so let's go to the code and let's understand how exactly it works. Yes. So as we discuss what exactly the promise is inside JavaScript, so let's understand few more points about promise. Okay. So in order to create the promise, we have to use a new keyword, because as you can see in the first point, it's saying promise constructor. Okay. Promise is a constructor which takes one argument. Okay, which is callback function as a argument as callback function. Okay. And that callback function need to have two things, two parameters, which is resolved or reject. Either it's up to you what names you are going to provide, but it will do the same job. Okay, so let's see how we can do how we can create it. Okay, so I'll say let number check. Okay, I want to check numbers. Okay, if those are equal to or not, then equal to, and as it is a constructor we have to use new keyword. Okay, so let's say new and then promise. Okay, and this is it. This is the simple structure. Okay, now let's read the other things and add it into this. Okay, so first line says promise constructor which we have created, and it takes only one argument, which is callback function. Okay, we can have the callback function here. Suppose we have a function here, and we am saying like callback. It's up to you what name you want to provide. Okay, here whatever you want to provide at this callback function, inside this we can pass it. Okay, or there is one more trick you can do. Instead of creating this function, you come here and add a arrow function as we do inside the map method or for each method. Okay, so let's take parenthesis, then an arrow, and then curly braces, and enter. Okay, this is it. Okay, so this is the first point done, and the second point is says that it accepts the callback function, which is this callback function, the blue brackets, right? That accepts two parameters. One is resolve and reject. Okay, it's up to you what names you want to provide. You want to provide s, no, it's up to you. You want to provide success and failed, it's up to you. Or if you want to provide resolve and reject, it's up to you. Okay, the only thing is resolve and rejects are the standardized between all the developers. So if anyone is creating like if you have already created and if you use this, they will know that there is already resolve this person might use, because that's the standard. Okay, so let's stick to the standard, which is resolve and reject, and let's get some operation inside the function. Okay, so we'll have a x value which is 1, and let's y value as 2. Okay, so what I want to check in this promise is, what this promise will do is it will check if x equal to y or not. If it is equal to y, then it will say resolve. If it is not, it will say reject. Okay, so that's our promise. Okay, that we have to check if the promise is fulfilled or not. Okay, so let's take a if condition here, or x equal to y. If it is there, I'll say resolve. If it is not there, else, which is else, and we'll say reject. Okay, so this is it. Okay, so this is the call promise we have, and this is how the promise we can create it. Okay, now we have to check what exactly is going on. Okay, so I'll do number check here, and then dot then block. As we discussed, right, we have to see if it is resolved or not, that we are going to check inside the then block. So what you have to write is just the promise name and no function braces. Okay, it's not a function, it's a promise, so that's why you have to use dot then block. Okay, and inside the then block we can catch that, okay, is it resolving or not, that we can check it. Okay, so again, then it will going to accept again a callback function, so you have to provide a callback function, and here I'll say yes, the promise is succeed. Okay, okay, the spelling mistakes, but okay, I think the spellings are not coming, so I'll say success. Okay, and then and we know that how to catch the result. Okay, like the error, if error is there, it means error is nothing but like promise is rejected, that we want to check. How we can check it? Using the catch. Okay, either you add it here dot catch here, or you can go to the next line, or also you can say there catch. Okay, so then inside the callback function again, and say no, the promise is failed. Okay, the promise is failed. Okay, now we have to run this application and see what exactly will going to happen. Okay, so let's run the application. I'll say node 34, and you see it's saying no, the promise is failed. Okay, because x and y values are not similar, that's why it went to the else block and it rejected the promise. Okay, and that's why we got this catch block, and which is saying no, the promise is failed. Okay, let's try to change the y value. Okay, I'll say x and y equal to same. Okay, x equal to 1 and y equal to 1. Okay, now let's see what will happen to the promise. Okay, so node 34 and then run. Now it's saying yes, the promise is success. Okay, so this is how we can work with the promise. Okay, so this is very important thing, I'll tell you, this is a very important thing if you want to go into the node.js thing. Okay, the express server, in future we are going to see the how we can create the server using node.js and javascript. Okay, there, this is the most important thing I can say, promise. Okay, that these are the very important thing you have to learn, because there are so many things we can do with the promises. Okay, yes, so let's see how we can create a promise and return inside a function. Okay, so let's create a function. I'll tell you how exactly we are using this. So the function name, I'll say get users. Okay, so I want to get a particular user based on the id. Okay, so id will be the parameter. Okay, so if you directly create some promise, okay, that time you can't provide any values directly. Okay, so you want to provide the values during the runtime. Okay, during the runtime you want to provide the values, that values you can't provide it. That's why we can't directly create the promise. That's why we have to create a function, and inside that function we can create the promise. Okay, so here what I'll say is return and then new promise. This is it. Okay, so now as we have access to id, we can easily check with the id if the data is exist or not. Based on that we can say yes or no. Okay, resolved or not rejected. Okay, that you can say in the promise. So again I'll explain again. Okay, it's a simple thing. If you use the promise directly, okay, so you will say let get user, okay, and new promise. Okay, so here the difference is, if you use a function you can provide id. Okay, if you use directly promise you can't provide any id during the runtime. Okay, so that's why we can use a function in order to return the promise, so that we can have the id as well. Okay, so that's why we are not using this one. So let's see how exactly we can create it further. Okay, so as we know that promise will have a callback function, so let's create a callback function. This is how it is. The brackets are wrong. Yeah, now it is the proper callback function. Okay, now we'll have resolve and reject inside that. Okay, and let's get some user data here. So I'll say users list, and let's create id equal to id is 0, username Steve, okay, and id equal to 1, username will be Bruce, id 2, and username will be Thor, okay. So this is our user list, okay. Based on the id which we are getting, we need to check that are we good with the, like, are we getting the data or not, okay. Is the id or the user exists in our database or not, okay. Right now we don't have any database, okay. Database and all will have it later, but right now we have to check if in this list that user id is exist or not, okay. So in this promise, what we can do here is I'll have let result equal to and we have a filter method, okay. So we can use filter method in order to filter by id, okay. So how we can use it? Users list dot filter, okay, and inside that I can have value, okay, and I can have the arrow, okay. So you can say like we need to have callback, okay, and you can have curly braces if you want, but if you have only one liner, right, that time you don't need to use it, okay. So let's say value, and here I'll say value dot id. You can see the brick symbols as well, I can see id and the username. So let's take id triple equals to the id which we are getting from the method, okay. I'll say id, okay. Here now you see the id, the this is gone, and we can filtering with the id, okay. So now how do we know if the user exists or not? So if you filter it, it will return something, okay. If it is exists, it will going to return you the object like this way, okay. So it will have array, and inside that this curly braces will be there, like this entire thing will be there, okay, if it find this, okay. So if we check the length of this, now it will give us 1 as a length, okay. Suppose if user doesn't exist, it will only return you the curly braces, which means the result, the length is 0, okay. So based on that we are going to check now. So if condition I'll put, and I'll say result dot length, okay. If this is equal to 0, it means no data found, okay. So once no data found, I'll say reject, okay. And here you can provide the values as well, okay. If you want to say no user found, okay, this is how you can provide the message as well, or the value I can say. Else, okay, else it means it found the data, okay. So let's see what we found it. Resolve we can say, and whatever I got it, I want to send it to the I want to show it basically, okay. So I'll say result here, okay. So this is how the promise we can create, okay. I'll just minimize this so you can see whole function, okay. So we have a function which is saying get user, and it is having a parameter as id. So based on the id, we want to check if the id of the user is exist or not, okay. Then on the line number 55, you can see we have created a promise which is directly returning, okay. We are not creating inside a variable, we are returning the promise, okay. And that promise has a callback function which is taking two parameters, one is resolve, one is reject, and then we are filtering the user list, okay, here, and storing inside the result based on the id, okay. So value dot id, and the id which we are getting from the parameters, and then what we are saying is if result dot length is 0, it means there is no data of the user. So that's why I'll say reject, and I'll say no user found, okay. And then else I'll say resolve, okay. So in the result I am sending the data, okay. Whatever data I found it, I am giving the data back in the result, okay. So let's see how we can call this, okay, how we can run this promise, okay. So first thing you have to write get users and then call it, okay. So I'll say 0 as a id, okay. Now if I call it, nothing will happen, okay. The reason is, as it is returning a promise, we need to capture it in the then or catch. How do we know is it failed or it is resolved, okay. So we need to know with the dot then and dot catch block, okay. So after this parenthesis you can write then, or you go in the bottom and say then here, okay. Both works, okay. It's up to you, because javascript doesn't have the semicolon criteria, right? After semicolon only the next line will start. No, so that's why you can have it in the next line as well, and then you can have the catch as well. So let's have catch, okay. So both of them we got it. Now what we have to do, we have to have create a callback function in the then block. So let's create it. This is the callback function, and as I am providing the result from here, I should get the data back here. Okay, so whatever result I am providing inside the result, that we can capture inside this callback function, which is inside the then block. Okay, so if I print here console.log data, it should give us the data whatever I am providing from the result, from the promise. Okay, and same thing in the catch block, we can save this thing, we can say callback function, and here we can say error. Okay, so whatever error message I have passed right here in the reject, that we can capture inside the catch block from this parameter. Okay, and I'll say console.log error, and it should give us this error if the id didn't get it. If ids exist, it will give us the data back. Okay, so let's see it. Okay, so let's clear this and line 34, that's the file, enter. And now you see user get user of 0. Okay, 0 is exist in our list, that's fine, it's printing the result back to us. Okay, so it's saying that id is 0 and username is Steve. Okay, and then we have a catch block here. Okay, so catch block doesn't run because this id exists. So let's say 12. Okay, 12 as the id for now. So as we know that 12 is not exist in our list. Okay, so it should technically give us this result, this error back, no user found. Okay, let's check this. Okay, so let me run 1234, and you see no result found, we got it. Okay, so this is how the promise works with the function. Okay, yes, so this is about the promise in JavaScript, how we can create it with the function and without function, and how we can use it, and what is then block and what is catch block, and how exactly the promise is working. Okay, so what I will suggest you guys, whoever is watching this video, please do practice on these kind of examples, and if you got any issues, any errors, just put in the comment section, so I can review and I can answer to your questions. Okay, so do use the comment section in the YouTube, so I can know if you are facing any issue or not, or just give it a say something about you, like is it worked or not, that say it in the comment section, it helps actually. Okay, so thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please consider subscribing and give it a like. I'll be back with more content in the next video. Thank you.